Don't invest and forget.
We have a special guest in the studio today, Michael Hatfield. Michael is with RE/MAX team. He has offices in Danville and 10 other Bay Area locations. And as usual, we've got our man on the street, Charlie Cohen. Michael, Charlie, welcome to the show. So on the stock market, Michael, we had one of the best Januaries in years. The Dow Jones was up 6%. And historically, after a poor year like we had in 2022, statistically speaking, the subsequent year has averaged 13.6% in the stock market. So the old adage, buy low, sell high, is hopefully germane in 23. Now we talk about housing, where it has been red-hot market since the advent of all these rate increases by Jerome Powell, the Federal Reserve Chairman. 30-year rates are somewhere in the 6 to 7% range. What about this shift in the housing market? What say you?
Well, generally, when the stock market, equities market, goes very active and goes up in the indices, real estate does pretty well, but there's a lag. So there's a lag of what happens. We're seeing, like last year was the peak in the real estate market, approximately April. And when I say peak, I'm talking about activity of buyers and sellers and transaction numbers. It was very high. It was very much a seller's market at that time, a lot of multiple offers. I don't know where the equities markets will go from here. I'm seeing a balanced, relatively balanced housing market at this point in time. There's not a lot of buyers around. There's not a lot of sellers around. The price is pretty much staying the same in the Bay Area.
So it's all about equilibrium, and that's always historically your challenge. You have either too many buyers or too many sellers. Now you're saying it's pretty quiet, and inventory is fairly low, I suspect?
Oh, it's very low. You know, simple economics. One of the things that I've noticed, and I was speaking with our designated broker, we're brokers, but we work under the RE/MAX brokerage. We were talking about this just the other day, that the new buyers, ages of about 35 to 40, look at buying a home in a different way than what the people did a number of years ago. And the sellers we have in California are the homeowners are actually around 60 years old. So you got 60-year-old sellers, you got 35-year-old buyers. Now, how do we bring that together to consummate a transaction? And one thing that came out of it is that we feel that a lot of the buyers are looking at a home purchase as if it were an equity purchase. They look around, they listen to media, they get emails bombed on them everywhere, and they get confused instead of going to the boots on the ground person, their trusted realtor. So if they're looking at it as a stock purchase, it's going to be not as good of an approach as if they use the boots on the ground trusted realtor to really advise them where the market is and what to do as far as making a buy. I think that if it goes back to that, which we saw a number of years ago, it would be very productive for our buyers as well as sellers.
And then coupled with that are almost daily announcements of layoffs by Disney. Announced 8,000, Oracle, Meta, Facebook, Apple, all have announced, even Amazon has announced layoffs. So that would further stymie the real estate market if we're looking for some kind of spring upheaval. Maybe normally in the springtime, Michael, is that when buyers and sellers begin to open their doors and say, okay, the flowers are blooming, let's put the house up for sale?
Absolutely, it is. But it's been a little bit different over the last 3 to 4 years as far as when the actual normal cycles actually occur. Interestingly, during COVID, a lot of the tech people did not go into the office, so they came out to the San Ramon Valley and they purchased and they did their business from home. And it actually made a very robust market in the San Ramon Valley, as an example. And you hit it right on the head. Now that we have approximately 10% of layoff in the tech industry, that it is definitely going to have some effect on the buyer demand at this time. So true. It's a normal part of the cycle. It's not the first time that we've seen layoffs in the tech industry, and it's not the first time that we will at some point see a lot of hiring in the tech industry. So it's using the marketplace to the benefit of our clients.
Let me ask you a question, just as an example of somebody buying a house now in the Bay Area. Let's say the house is $1 million. That's not going to buy you a great house, but it's going to buy you an okay house depending upon where it is. With that, you're going to need, $200,000 out of your pocket to put down as a down payment, generally speaking.
Is that
yeah, that would be about right.
Well, yes, you avoid the mortgage insurance, which is an additional cost. Most people would love to go 20%. You can actually buy a home today for 10%, even 5% down, using a different loan program.
All right, well, just a regular loan program with 20% down. So somehow you got to write a check for $200,000, and now you have an $800,000 mortgage. And with today's rates and so forth, let's say a 30-year fixed, what are people looking at for a monthly payment?
Right today, and they fluctuate every day as far as mortgage interest rates, you can, depending on the type of program of loan, it can be anywhere from 5.45% to 6.37%, in that range right this moment.
Okay, but if you're just doing a regular loan, I want a 30-year fixed loan, whatever the percentage is, well, what's my payment going to be about?
Roughly 5.625 interest rate, 30-year fixed. Principal and interest would be about $45.72.
$45.72
per month.
About. Okay.
Well, I mean, yeah.
All right.
And then you have taxes and insurance on top of that. Interestingly, for every interest rate point that would go up on $800,000, would be about $470 added to your monthly payment.
Okay.
But Charlie, there's ways to deal with this. If you represent the buyer, quite often you can get the seller to come in with a seller credit to buy that rate down. And we just did that just recently for a new first-time home buyer. We got a $24,000 seller credit. That we negotiated, and it really helped out with her interest rate going down, thus her payment going down. So there's a lot of different ways an experienced realtor can help their client.
Okay, and one of the things we talked about long ago is you can also move to Arkansas. Talking about the Bay Area because that's where we are, and it's a little tougher than living in Arkansas, and that's where it is.
Well, people like to live here because it's beautiful. I mean, you got the ocean, you have the bay, you have the mountains, you have all of this type of terrain that you can enjoy, which is nearby, very nearby. And you don't have that in the flatlands of Ohio. It's just not like that. So it's a very desirable place. That's why people like to live here.
Thanks for all that.
Invest and forget. On today's program, a conversation between our host, Pat Vitucci, and real estate agent, Michael Hatfield, with some analysis of the current market conditions in and around the San Francisco Bay Area. Let's get back to the conversation. Pat?
So, Michael, our clients, our 60-year-olds, 65, 70-year-olds you mentioned earlier, are moving out, and the 35-year-olds are moving in. From our perspective, our clients are moving either downsizing to a condo, or they're moving to Tennessee, to Florida, to Arizona, to Texas. Is that a trend you're seeing from your side of the aisle?
We're seeing that as happening almost on a daily basis, but it has been actually occurring for about the last 5-6 years. It's slow, people going out, but yet people are coming in too because of they have jobs or they have desirability here. But right now it's kind of slowed down. It's not a lot of people fleeing to get out of California and a lot of people coming into California. We don't see it as active as what it used to be, but it's definitely always there on a day-to-day basis nowadays.
Is the activity going to be strong in the next month or two? The question is, when do you sell? And when you look at the 50-year average of mortgage rates, we're right around approaching where the average has been. Of course, we've been spoiled, and we've had this odd perspective of we deserve 2 and 3% mortgage rates like we had 6 or 8 or 9 months ago. We're getting back into normalcy in terms of mortgage rates, aren't we?
Yes. And I don't see the 2.5% coming back anytime soon. I can't see how, as it connects into the Federal Reserve, and their actions, I cannot see how that rate will come back to 2.5% anytime soon. I do not see a falling off of value, a huge crash in values of homes like we saw back in 2007. And the reason for that is that there is no inventory. Back in 2007, there was a tremendous amount of inventory. I think it's more of a mentality of our buyers and sellers. They have different mentalities, and if a buyer really wants to buy, right now is an absolutely perfect time to buy before a bunch of buyers come into the market and drive the price upward. And at the same time, you have the sellers, which there's very few number of homes available for sale currently. If they want to sell, we don't know what's going to happen into the future, and the values have been driven up. They're still up there at this point in time. It's a very good time to buy. But the mentality is something that I would like to see go back the way it was. People wanting to live in a specific area, a specific home. They want to raise their children. They want their children to go to great schools. They want them to have great neighbors. They buy the home on the advice of a trusted, experienced realtor, and they stay there for the long time, not looking like I'm going to buy today and I'm going to take $300,000 of gain tomorrow. That's more like a day trading buying concept of some of the buyers that we have today. In fact, a lot of them. I would like to see that change and go back the way it was, to where they, get in there and look at it as a longer term proposition. And when the value of the property goes up, it adds money to their pocketbook.
And Michael, another question would be, what about the sellers? What are they doing? Why are they selling their home? Are they planning on buying another home in the Bay Area, or are some of them leaving, or what's the motivation to sell?
As we talked before, most of them are 60 years old. They're of a vintage where their mortgage has been paid down, or they have refinanced at 2.5%. There's really no reason for them to move other than to prepare for the latter stages of their life. So a lot of the people that sell are ones that want to downsize. They want to take care of their family. They want to move out of state for whatever reason, to be with their kids, political reason. It could be anything. But the reason that the sellers sell are normally reasons that affect people of a vintage to where they're thinking about such items. It's mentality of the whole seller's realm, so to speak.
Marketing your home now becomes more important as opposed to a year ago when you put your for sale sign on your front lawn and you had 18 offers in the first weekend. Marketing becomes more important, and staging, I guess, it becomes critical, because now if you want more house to sell and get a premium price, perhaps staging it is a incremental idea to get a better price. What do you think?
Absolutely. Staging is absolutely an element of the preparing the home for sale. When we meet with people that wish to sell and provide a listing presentation, a market analysis of actually going through their home and giving a value that is something other than an auto-generated formula like you see online, we go through the home and say, well, this wall needs to be painted, and this definitely needs to be staged, and we need to come on market. I mean, it's a whole kitchen full of gadgets to cook with in order to best present the home to the buyer's market. It's a very important thing, and my team and I, we take the interest of our clients absolutely at heart as number one priority, and number one goal is to get the maximum amount of proceeds for the seller. There is sensitivity on the buyer's part to an increasing interest rate of a point, half a point, or what it is now versus what it used to be in history. But the point that I'd like to make is when you take on a more mature view of home buying, you realize that 1 point of interest increase in monthly payment, or 2 points even, or 3 points, you pay that extra, refinance later. But the point I'm making is that over time in the San Francisco Bay Area, the appreciation of your home will vastly outstrip any disadvantage to an increasing mortgage rate. Vastly outstrip it over time.
We're interviewing today Michael Hatfield of the Michael Hatfield RE/MAX team. Michael and Nancy are a wonderful team that we have referred many of our clients, and they've come back and written me notes or called me and said, Michael and Nancy do a phenomenal job. They were treated with respect, and we got a really good price for our home, and they got the right people to buy our home. We felt very comfortable that our home was going to be placed in good hands with a good family. Any questions for Michael and Nancy, or if you'd like to chat with them and just give some thought to what the next stage of your life might look like, give them a call at 925-322-7775. That number is 925-322-7775. Michael, thank you so much for joining me today. Look forward to seeing you again on the show soon.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity.